All right, let's get right into it. When you think about IPL rivalries, your mind probably jumps to match days, right? The big sixes, the nail-biting finishes. But the whole RCB vs CSK thing, that's different. This is a rivalry that really lives and breathes in the offseason, and it's driven by something way deeper than just winning or losing a cricket match. And this image, it just perfectly sums up what we're talking about today. See, this isn't about the trophy count or the head-to-head stats. It's really a story about two completely different emotional worlds. On one side, you've got a fan base that's been conditioned to expect things to go right. And on the other, a fan base that's been trained season after season to just keep building up hope. And that one difference, it changes absolutely everything. So, how in the world did we end up here? How did two franchises manage to build such wildly different emotional experiences for their fans? Well, it all goes back to the very beginning, to the promises they made. One team sold its fans on trust. The other sold them on drama. And this, right here, lays out that psychological split perfectly. For CSK fans, stability was just normal. Making the playoffs, yeah, that's what's supposed to happen. Pulling off a crazy comeback, of course. This created a real sense of emotional security. A loss was a bummer, for sure, but it never made them question the entire system. Now, for RCB fans, it was the total opposite. Their entire journey was a roller coaster of incredible highs and just soul-crushing lows. Nothing was ever a sure thing, which meant being a fan was this constant test of emotional strength, leaving them feeling completely exposed all the time. And you know where this conditioning really got baked in? At their home grounds. For CSK, Chepauk was a fortress, a place that just soaked up pressure. I mean, a win rate of around 66%, fans walked in expecting a win. But Chinnaswamy was chaos. For RCB, with a win rate under 50%, it was a pressure cooker. It's a high-scoring ground, so no total ever felt safe. No win was in the bag to the last ball. Fans didn't show up expecting a win. They showed up hoping for one, and that hope was always tangled up with this deep-seated fear of a collapse. And look, this whole fan experience, it wasn't some random thing. It was born from some really deep structural problems. And the legendary Rahul Dravid kind of hits the nail on the head here. RCB's emotional chaos was a direct result of years and years of strange auction strategies and a constant struggle to build a team that actually made sense. This quote is the perfect bridge from the feeling of the rivalry to the flawed blueprint that created it all. Now look, every team goes through tough times. But what happened between 2016 and 2017, man, that was something else. Both RCB and CSK were thrown into this crucible of pain. This period pushed their core beliefs, their very identities, to the absolute breaking point in completely different but equally agonizing ways. It was a time of heartbreak that would leave a permanent mark on both franchises. This image just captures that shared trauma so well. CSK was suspended for 2 years. Their fans didn't just lose a few matches, they lost their entire team. They had to watch their heroes, Dhoni, Raina, Jadeja, playing against each other in different jerseys. It was a complete fracture of their identity. At the exact same time, RCB was on top of the world. Virat Kohli goes and scores an insane 973 runs. It felt like it was written in the stars. And then, poof, it all just evaporated in the final. One fan base was grieving an absence, the other was grieving a shattered dream. The pain was different, sure, but that feeling of pure emotional exhaustion, it was exactly the same. And just when you thought things couldn't possibly get any worse for RCB, they did. That 49 all-out in 2017 was so much more than just a humiliating loss. It was a complete public meltdown. For a fan base that wears its heart on its sleeve, a fan base that's so emotionally exposed, this wasn't just a bad day at the office. This was a scar. It became the thing everyone used to make fun of them, a moment where everything they believed in just crumbled, right there, for the whole world to see. So, how does a team even begin to recover from something like that? Well, RCB didn't ask, why did our process fail? They asked, who did this to us? And then they literally went out and bought the exact bowlers who had ripped them apart. Chris Wokes, Nathan Coulter-Nile, Colin de Granum. This wasn't a cricket strategy. It was a totally human emotional reaction. They weren't buying solutions to their problems. They were trying to buy closure. They were trying to erase a nightmare by owning the thing that caused. And the contrast with CSK's comeback in 2018, it's just staggering. While RCB was busy reacting to its trauma, CSK was just calmly putting the old band back together. People made fun of them, called them Dad's Army for trusting older guys like Shane Watson, who, by the way, had just failed at RCB.
But CSK's system was never built on emotion. It was built on clarity, on process, and on trust. And the results? They shut everyone up by winning the whole thing in 2018. It was the ultimate proof that patience beats panic.
So, after all that pain and drama, what came next was this really important period of growth for both teams. The past had forced them both to take a long, hard look in the mirror. For RCB, it was about finally admitting that passion alone doesn't win trophies. And for CSK, it was about staring down the fact that even the best systems have an expiration date. Finally, after years of just pure chaos, RCB had a turning point. They actually started to sort out the mess. Bringing in structured thinkers like Mike Hesson and analytical minds like Freddie Wilde signaled this quiet, grown-up reset. There were no big, flashy promises. And for the first time when they lost, it felt like there was a reason, not just another random collapse. The franchise stopped playing to the crowd and started building something that could actually last. They chose coherence over chaos. And you could see this new philosophy in action big time at the auction table. I mean, this just lays it all out. Instead of chasing the biggest, flashiest names, they started chasing the right fits. Choosing Phil Saltz for his power play hitting over the star power of Josh Buttler. Or going for Josh Hazlewood's boring reliability over Mitchell Starc's drama. These weren't the choices that win you Twitter, they were the disciplined choices that build a real team. But just as RCB was finally getting its house in order, the unthinkable happened to CSK. In 2025, that trusted old formula of experience and continuity, it completely fell apart. For the very first time, they finished dead last. This wasn't just a bad season, it was a philosophical implosion. For a fan base built on the bedrock of stability, this was a shockwave that rattled their entire identity. The system that was supposed to be perfect had failed. It was the ultimate proof that every great dynasty eventually has to evolve or die. So, after all of that, after these long, painful, and transformative journeys, where are we now? Where does it leave this rivalry? Well, it leaves us with something much, much deeper. To really get it, you have to look past the scores and see the human story that's been playing out this whole time. You know, at the end of the day, this whole rivalry comes down to one big misunderstanding. For all those years, RCB fans were just defending their belief, their insane loyalty through all the pain. All they wanted was for people to see that loyalty as courage, not stupidity. And CSK fans, they were defending their process, their discipline. They just wanted people to see their success as the result of hard work, not arrogance. One side was protecting the emotional heart of sports. The other was protecting its strategic mind. And you know what? Both of them were right. And that brings us to how they both grew up, really. Both teams got to a much healthier, more stable place, but they took completely different roads to get here. RCB's path was a tough, bumpy ride. They suffered, they hit rock bottom, and they learned about discipline the hardest way possible. CSK's journey was smoother, but their evolution needed something just as rare: the honesty to look at a system that was still winning and find the courage to change it anyway. And so, here we are. Royal Challengers Bengaluru finally earned their calm after years of pure chaos. They don't just have to hope anymore, now they can actually expect. And Chennai Super Kings earned their next chapter through honesty, proving that even the greatest have to be willing to change. The coolest part about where they are now is that the rivalry doesn't need all the loud, toxic arguments anymore. It's got layers of history, pain, and mutual respect. It already has meaning. Which kinda leaves you with this one last thought to chew on. When you look at these two incredible journeys, one of suffering through pain to finally find stability, and the other of finding the courage to change to stay great, it reframes the whole thing. Maybe, just maybe, the greatest victory in sports isn't lifting a trophy, but the wisdom you earn along the way.